All right, so I wanted to practice some of those calculations with scientific notation. Hopefully you've already finished and we're just checking here. But if you're not sure how these work, make sure you're following along so that you're ready for your quiz. All right, so number one, I have 2.2 times 10 to the 7th divided by 6.10 times 10 to the 9th. First thing that I'm always going to do is divide my numbers. 2.2 divided by 6.1 is going to give me an answer of 0.360655, whatever, it keeps on going. But I'm only supposed to have a certain amount of sig figs in anything. And in this case, since 2.2 has 2 sig figs, I should round this answer to 2 sig figs. So I should be at 0.36. And then I complete my exponent. Remember, when I'm dividing, I'm going to subtract. So 7 minus 9 is going to give me a negative 2. And then finally, still looking at this, I have to make an adjustment. I'm going to need to move this decimal to the right behind the 3 so that this is correct scientific notation. And when I move a decimal to the right, I'm supposed to subtract from my exponent. So that 2 minus a 1 means that I'm going to end up with 3.6 times 10 to the negative third as a final answer. Okay, number 2, easy enough. 5.5 times 1 is still 5.5. And both of those numbers, all three of those numbers have 2 sig figs, so the sig figs are fine. I just need to finish my exponent. It's 5.5 times 10 to the second power. Remember, I'm adding because I'm multiplying, so 7 plus a negative 5 gives me a 2. That one was actually fairly simple and easy. Number 3, I need to add these two numbers, but before I can add, I have to have the same exponent. Just like I would have to have the same unit if I was adding two different measurements. So I have 10 to the first power and 10 to the negative first power. Remember that I'm always going to want to try and change the smaller one to make it bigger. So if I'm adding 2 to my negative 1 to make it a positive 1, I need to move my decimal 2 places to the left, which means I'm really adding 1.25 and 0.052 together. So you can go ahead and do that. 2031. This needs to be rounded appropriately, so make sure that you use precision. The 1.25 only goes to the hundredths place, whereas the other one goes to the thousandths place. So I need to round right here, and I'll end up with 1.30 times 10 to the first power. All right, and then finally number 4 over here. Again, I want to make the smaller exponent bigger, so I want to make this negative 8 match the negative 6. So I'm going to add 2, and whenever I add, I move the decimal to the left. So I have these two numbers, 8.97 plus 8.03210. So I'll add this up real quick. And round it appropriately. Again, it kind of needs to go to the hundredths place, since that's the most precise of my 2 original measurements. And my final answer is going to be 9.00 times 10 to the negative 6th power. All right, so hopefully You understand how to do those when you get started on a quiz. So good luck.